Time for that important conversation we've been talking about all morning, taxation. Now, taxation is a very uncomfortable word. A lot of us don't like to hear it because when you make money, you like to keep the money and use it for yourself. But the law requires us to pay taxes. It's important for developmental purposes. Now, one sector that have consistently complained about taxation in the country is the creative space. A lot of event organizers have said that taxation of activities in the creative arts is quite harsh, all right? Because we already have challenges with sponsorship, event venues, paying artists, organizing events or keeping the industry where it is or better is a very expensive venture. Oftentimes, event organizers do not recoup, make their money back, and yet they have to pay so much in taxes, up to about 21% of what they make on ticket sale to the GRA. This conversation we're about to have is one with stakeholders in the industry to understand exactly what their concerns are and also to educate all other stakeholders watching us on what the requirement of the law is and how we can all be responsible citizens. And finally, to see if we can come to some middle ground where both parties will be happy. And I am so happy to be joined by the man who has been asking for oil, my brother, Joe Metal. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Na.
Oje fe.
Oje juba.
No fe no you okay.
Modrumo.
Me nang my shirt me.
Keep me burning.
Keep me burning. Did you bring us one?
I'll bring you one.
You are the only one who wants to burn. It's great to have you.
It's good to be
And I'm
here.
looking forward to joining you at the stadium on Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
What's the lady's name? Sandra. The lady.
Sandra Boache.
Sandra Boache. Is she going to be with you?
Oh yeah, all of them.
I'm coming for her. So we'll burn together. Also in the house is a gentleman who decided to bring monologues to Accra, Ghana, and is doing so amazingly well with it, with stage plays, project management, event organizing, CEO, Charlie. Lateef Abubakar is turning things around in the creative space, and I'm so happy to know him, and I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Lateef.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Lady in red.
You are wearing the colors of a rich man. You know, it's only rich man who wear white. Have you seen a poor man in white?
But you've seen a poor man in red, though.
Oh, I thought red. Everybody wears red. Demonstration.
No.
What do you,
Not this kind of red.
Not this kind of red, yeah. This kind of red reminds
red is a normal color.
Reminds me of the song Lady in Red.
Hey.
Oh.
Yes, that's basically.
Never seen you looking so lovely as you did tonight. You're very romantic. Romantic allergy. And also joining us in the studios this morning is Mr. Julius Jima, Executive Director, Center for Policy and Economic Analysis. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, now.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Let's get straight into the conversation. I'd like to start with you. Now, we have been complaining about taxation in the country generally, but more specifically, people in the creative space have complained about how harsh the tax regime is on the space. Can you first of all give us an overview of what the expectations of the policymakers are?
Right. Now, good morning to you, your production team, and then your wonderful viewers. Good morning to Joe and then Lateef. I'm happy that today's segment is tackling the creative arts because for some time now they've been in the dark in the sense that most of our tax policies is like they have not received much support either from government or the various stakeholders in terms of education, in terms of how they have to arrange their books and get things right. How they can also take some tax avoidance mechanisms that it's going to, impact on their businesses. Yes, like we always say, it's show business. Most of the time we are talking about the show, but the business side, now that we are seeing so much encouragement that most of our creatives should focus on the business side. And so far as, we have to focus on the business side, it means that there are some regulations that most of our creatives should be able to comply. The harsh nature of taxation is that it's law, and we all have to comply. When I received the case study, which is one of the playwrights who conducted or who put a show together, and then within the shortest possible time, the GRA had to go to her and then, collect some taxes, that is VAT, from the ticket sales. So I think in that process, it's a harsh one, of course. But like you are saying, to just go straight to business, when it comes to taxes, and for the purposes of our discussion, I will dwell with VAT. You know, there are two forms of tax in the country or across the globe. There's the direct tax and then there's the indirect tax. With direct tax is the taxes that governments, you know, withhold on your income. So far as you're an individual and business in the country and then you're making an income. So the key word is making an income. So you can make an income either from your employment, your business or investment. So if you are in formal employment, every month, you know, they remit PE taxes to the Ghana Revenue Authority. But those of us in the business side, that is where the issues are. So that is a direct. You are responsible to pay the taxes by yourself. But when it comes to the indirect taxes, that is where we all find ourselves wanting. So we are all in the basket. Okay. Whether it is in the formal sector or the informal sector, we are contributing to indirect taxes. And the mother of all indirect taxes is value-added tax, which is the VAT. And you know currently the VAT has certain levies added on the cost before you compute the VAT of 15%. So that is why people will just add Get Fund NHIL and then COVID-19 levy. That is 2.5, 2.51%, 6 plus the 15, making 21%. So when you apply straight, it's 21, but you have to do the 6% first before you add the 15. The issue here is that there are general requirements that all Ghanaians, whether you are an individual or you are a business, you have to comply. So we'll look at the general requirement as to whether our
So in the creative space, if I sell a ticket for 60 Ghana cedis, the government will deduct 21% of the 60 Ghana cedis from my ticket sale. Is that correct?
No, it doesn't work like that. Now,
okay.
How it works is that our creatives, what they do is that they render services. For you to be able to charge the VAT, you should be able to register first. So there's a registration requirement. Now, the requirement in the country currently is that, according to the VAT Act, so far as maybe our creatives are putting up a show, and then they can reasonably estimate that the ticket sales or the whole event income that will accrue to them will be more than or maybe up to 200,000 in a year, or in a month, you divide by 12, you are getting around 10,000, then you should preparing yourself to go and register. So that is the VAT law. That is the criteria. So let's say Latif is putting up a show. He can reasonably put the figures together and know that, oh, okay, for this particular show, I am going to make maybe 500,000. Once he's able to do that, then he falls into the bracket to go and register for the purposes of VAT and start charging. You see, the VAT is for government and it does not affect the business.
It does affect the business.
Yes.
Let me come to the event organizer. I mean, don't say it doesn't affect the business because it does.
I wanted to clarify that so that they would pick some notes there. There are mechanisms for the VAT so that they come in.
You can end and then you come in.
You see, when it comes to the VAT, there is two forms. The mechanism, there's a flat rate. They don't suffer the flat rate. But that is straight 4%. And there's the
who pays the 4%?
That is consumers. So
who is the consumer?
The customers,
the person buying the ticket.
Yes, the person buying the ticket.
So we have to add a certain 4% to our ticket cost.
Yes. And then there is also the standard mechanism, that is standard rate. In the standard rate, there is what we call input and output. It is purchases versus sales. So we advocate or advise the creatives that, look, once you register, make sure that all the purchases they make, their expenses that they make in the business or putting up the show, make sure that you buy all your equipment, your machines and everything from a VAT registered supplier. Then you can benefit from your sales. So assuming that all the expenses that they incur in putting up a show. So for instance, Joe is putting up a show at the ICC or the National Theatre, and then there will be some input. So he'll be buying some stuff.
So he gets VAT receipts from everybody and then presents
from
to
the suppliers.
All right.
Then maybe the amount is maybe 1,000 cedis. Then he makes the sales. So the ticketing comes in, they do their costing, and they come out with a price, and they do that a profit margin or markup, and then maybe a price ticket is 50 cedis. Now, once you do that, already you have bought items and equipment from a VAT registered supplier that you have the VAT invoices to show. When you sell, you charge the VAT on it. Then when you finish, you deduct the VAT on the sales. So if the VAT on the sales is 1,002, because you have or you procured or purchased your inputs, the purchases from VAT registered suppliers, you have that 1,000 to deduct from the 1,002, and you
All
only
right.
pay 200 to the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Except
But
the
most
margins are never that small.
Yes, most important,
let me
most
come to-
issues,
let
they
me-
don't do the purchases, so straight away they are suffering from the output sales.
All right, let me come to an event organizer. In fact, two event organizers at this time, because Joe also has an event coming up on Sunday. He's organized many gospel shows. Lateef, how are things in the event space, theater production and event production? And is taxation or paying your taxes burdensome for you, an event organizer?
Yeah, I mean, I believe so, definitely. It's burdensome because, okay, as much as we all believe that the creative industry is subject to taxations by the laws of Ghana, or is governed by taxations by the laws of Ghana, and we acknowledge that there are various forms of taxes, especially when you have your own business. So you have the income tax, you have the corporate tax, you have the withholding tax, and then you have, I mean, the other VAT. You have VAT too as well. As much as we acknowledge that, there are certain times where, for us, looking at the nature of our industry and how well we want the industry to grow, we have challenges adding up the VAT you want us to add on the ticket pricing. Because already the pricing for the ticket, it's something that the industry people can't afford. We are struggling with it. And looking at the amount of effort that we put in to put up an event, you would definitely need to have a kind of pricing for your tickets. So say I do a 150 cedis per play. That 150 is because I'm looking at the amount of money I'm going to raise to put up the event. You understand? Even in addition to sponsorship, but the sponsorship will never come. Now, what you're saying from your conversation, we need to add a VAT on the 150. That doesn't come to us. We need to charge extra VAT on the 150. You understand? What we are saying is that even the 150 we are charging, our patrons are complaining that it is too much. And we want the industry to grow. So adding an extra amount of money is something that actually throws us away. That's one. Two, a lot of people don't even know that when it comes to event ticketing, there's VAT. The education, the audience psyche about that in the entertainment industry is extremely low. Very, very low. So I think that is something we also need to encourage GRA to also be embarking
to do
on.
what, education?
Yes.
To do education on that.
So
you're saying that the ticket pricing is based on the cost of production for the event.
Exactly.
And so you don't consider VAT.
Now we don't. Okay, and see, and now the upcoming artists, or I mean producers and stuff, don't until you educate them.
Let me tell you a fun fact. Even the artists don't expect you to withhold tax.
Yes.
That's another problem. So if you withhold tax, so if you were, say you're paying somebody 20,000 cedis for an act, instead of charging you 20,000, they will add withholding tax to the 20,000 and charge you the event organizer.
Yeah, that's what is going on in the
So
system.
now it will be 20,000 plus 21% of 20,000. And then the event organizer is expected to pay that amount. All right? And that's what's happening now.
That's the standard now.
Because I don't know if it's because of education on the part of the GRA and policymakers to educate, all of us to understand that you're supposed to pay a percentage of what you earn, not adding that percentage to your fee. It's like going to do more money and they ask you to add charges.
Yes.
Why is the event organizer supposed to bear all of these costs? But more interestingly, I've seen that the VRA people will come and sit at the entrance of the conference center or the National Theatre or your event venue, and they will count your tickets with you and then charge you that 21% on the number of tickets that they count. Is that your experience?
Yes, that's the experience. So they actually tell us that there are two ways.
Okay.
It's either you come to their office and then tell them how much tickets you are going to sell, and then they will charge you upfront for you to pay before the event. or they come and do reconciliation with you.
With you. What about complimentary tickets or free tickets?
They said it's a gift, and gift is taxable. So
if you give somebody a free ticket to your show, you're actually paying extra
yes,
for that person to come.
Yes, exactly.
And we do a lot of free complimentary tickets.
Of course, yes, we do, definitely. So, but I mean, for the argument back and forth has been that till now, we still go back and forth with them. That I seriously don't understand why I am giving someone a free ticket to come and experience the art because we want it to grow, and I'm expected to pay a tax on that. It's because I'm giving it out because the person might not be able to afford sometimes, because we distribute it sometimes nicely to the less privileged,
yes,
to the physically challenged,
yes,
and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So
I'll give you an example.
Yes,
I last played The Legend of Akusika. We had about 300 children coming to watch from various districts because it's a school book.
Yeah.
And it's a book they have read, and so we gave them the opportunity to come and experience it firsthand. Now, these school children came to watch for free.
Exactly. But you have to pay.
But we're expected to pay taxes on all of their 300 tickets.
Yeah.
And this is an industry which is struggling. I mean, Joe, I don't know if it's the same for in the gospel space.
Same. I mean, we've over the years, we've had to sometimes try to reason with them and say, truthfully, like, look at the size of this production, and even not like you calculate these tickets and see if it's anywhere close to even half of the cost of this, and it doesn't really matter. And I think that even sometimes the challenge is the prices they peg the complimentaries on. So you are giving a complimentary. Complimentaries normally are even if, let's say, you have a VIP or whatever, they put it on the VIP because it's supposed to be complimentary. So it's a higher, and the same thing, tickets are counted, Even for me, like this Sunday, for instance, we had a call, and the person says, okay, so we're calling from GRA, we realized that you're having so-and-so event. I was like, Auntie, this one is free. That one too, you're still calling me to say that you're coming for taxes. I said, why? Like, how it's free, like all this. And secondly, because like you said, there are elements of certain payments done that we are charged taxes. Like, let's say the renting of the stadium, for instance, you have to pay taxes. Yeah. If there were flights that you were booking for some of your guests, you pay taxes. If there are hotels that you're booking, you pay taxes. So my question many times is, because you are more like a policy person, what then do we do? Because in this case, you're paying taxes on hotels, you're paying taxes on transport, you're paying taxes on even food. Yeah. Because if you happen to restaurants and they eat, food will be paid. If there's fuel that was put in the car, taxes are paid. Mm-hmm. For you to say that I'm not paying, because I've paid all those ones, that still goes towards the same event. Do you understand? So when I told the person it's free, he said, but you have sponsors. So you have to pay taxes on.
So are we to pay taxes on sponsorship?
No.
So what was that?
I was even wondering.
If I could make a follow-up on what Joe said. You see, earlier on, I explained the mechanism of how we account for the VAT. And you've zeroed it down. I said there's something called input and output. Input means, yes, the purchases. So like you said,
so what I wanted to even ask is, does that mean that we need to collect all those inputs?
Definitely.
So then I think that you see, there was an incident like that. You were not even given we're not given the chance to even say, give us time to put all these documents together, present it. They said, no, that one is supposed to be that's the indirect taxes. They said it's indirect, it's not you supposed to pay.
No.
It's supposed to be paid by the consumer.
No.
So I think then it's not
we
just
have to do some education.
Yes. Exactly. So I think that it's not even just us that needs the education. Yes. The people that sometimes
the tax collector, exactly.
Yes. So it's like, okay, this guy does, because sometimes you ask yourself, it feels like, okay, you do this every June, so it's marked.
They're waiting for you.
So the moment the person didn't even realize that is free.
Let's talk about the use of our taxes. Now, one of the concerns that people in the creative space have raised time and time again is that if we're paying all these taxes, why are we not seeing any development in the space in terms of infrastructure? So, case in point, the National Theatre. We've talked about this so many times. The place is run down. So many things need to be fixed in that place. Talk about the bathrooms, the carpet was recently changed by a private person, the air conditions, the dressing rooms. The place is run down. And the place needs improvement. The conference center, we've heard a lot of stories in recent times about what's happening to the building and the fact that it needs to be fixed. So if creative people are paying all this money, why is it that the money is not channeled towards development in the space for the same venues that we go to make the money that you so readily come for?
Okay, so I keep saying that maybe, let's say the justification is that the monies we pay is not enough. We don't pay much money that could fund capital infrastructures like this. But that is actually not an answer that we need. The answer that we need governments upon governments to solve or provide is actually they must invest in the industry to formalize the industry. The informal nature of the creative arts industry is actually what is lacking, what is creating all these issues in terms of not getting enough revenue from the industry, because this is an industry that could actually take over cocoa as a contributor to our GDP. It's an industry that could take over the services as an industry, as the greatest contribution to our GDP. So, if there is the needed investment in both infrastructure-wise and even incentive and policy-wise, I believe they will be able to raise that much needed revenue for those capital infrastructures. Now, the simple argument they will say is that our contribution is not much.
Not many people even do ticketed events.
Exactly. So I'm sure that will be the case. But I keep saying that, look, invest if you want to. They said, if you really want to make good amount of money and refocus, let's have a paradigm shift. I keep saying, where we have a vision where the tourism and creative art industry should be the leader when it comes to the contribution of GDP. That will be sustainable enough than the cocoa that we are talking about. That will be very sustainable. One way or the other. That is what I believe in.
Well, no, I think to add to what Latif said, just about the contribution in terms of the revenue that creatives are paying to government, that is not enough. It's just literally so. It's just.
The way he's saying it's more, eh?
I'm saying that it's just something that he shouldn't place so much emphasis on. Obviously, governments have a responsibility to invest in infrastructure, just as you said. It shouldn't be tied to how much money that coming in. Creative are contributing. Yeah. But the issue here is that all our taxes end up in a certain basket called the consolidated fund. And to be able to draw monies from the consolidated fund, you need a budget. Okay. So now government will have to come up with a budget and then allocate the monies into various sectors of the economy. Okay. So that is where the issue is. If you are not lucky,
sector is not part. So would you say
the investment that comes
would you say that maybe like we've also not been emphatic enough in terms of like following up? So we are sure, because normally like there's been times where we say there are representations with the creative art sector where people are supposed to be representing these people in creative art. So if we have like
we have a minister.
But what I'm asking is our consent. Is it like followed up like every other? Maybe like...
I think so. I think it is followed up. It is just not implemented. And why do I say so? I think it is being followed up because in every manifesto of the two major parties...
no, I'm actually not even talking about manifesto.
No, I'm just saying that...
There's always a promise there.
Yes, there is a promise there, which means there's a thought-through process before it was delivered in the manifesto. You understand? So they are aware.
No, but like you see, you should have an input into policy. So let's say a political party would definitely have a promise which will be captured in their manifesto. But the creatives, like right now, these are matters of concern. I'm sure it's not only about taxes.
No.
There's infrastructure, there's the investment that you talk. Personally, government must commit money. So what I would advise or advocate is that I ask for the list of the crew. There are musicians, there are actors, comedians, spoken word, those who are doing artists, bloggers, content creators, influencers, and the recent one is photographers. So, so it's a whole basket and pool of,
In fact, you should add hairdressers
Yes.
and makeup artists
And
and all of them, because they're all part of the creative.
Yes, we should assist.
fashion.
We should assist so that this group of people would be strong and formidable. You see, one thing with government is that if you are not united, if you don't have an umbrella, I'm not even sure if you are even being invited into budget workshops. Because anytime there's a budget, government invites all key stakeholders, industry players, not the ministry. So sometimes the creative arts ministry is not enough. The industry players, the technical people, the producers, executive producers, the artists, they are the people that can shape policy and fine-tune it. If we come under one umbrella and then we be able to have a vehicle, you can walk straight to, because two ministries that you need, your sector minister and then the Ministry of Finance. These are the key ministries that you need to be able to have your grievances addressed. When it comes to the issues with taxes, the Ministry of Finance.
Let me ask you this question that I've gotten 3 times from 3 different people. What exactly is the GRA doing for the creative space?
Okay, so the GRA, where they are strategically, the only thing they can do is to do tax education. They cannot use your money that you contribute to them to come and invest in the. It is not their responsibility per the law. The GRA is just somebody that government have sent them to go and collect money for government. So they cannot do anything. Just that, unfortunately, we direct our frustrations to the GRA. The appropriate quarters is to central government. That is perhaps the Ministry of Finance.
Some frustrations are being directed to the GRA because of lack of information.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they can only do tax education.
I want us to cross over to Lexi the Comic, who's just joined us. Lexi the Comic is a comedian. He organizes lovely shows at the National Theatre mostly, and he sells tickets, so he pays the GRA, VAT and other taxes on his tickets. Now, Lexi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Are you there? Hello, Lexi.
Yeah, I'm here, please.
Can you tell us briefly, what are some of your frustrations as an artist and an event producer when it comes to taxation?
Okay, good morning to your viewers. With the issues of taxation, I am from the view of comedy is like a growing industry, and it hasn't gotten to the level where you can compare it to other buzzing industries like the music and movie industry. And the challenges we face is mostly with sponsorship, because not too many of these corporate entities see the potential comedy can give. Because we've been doing the same thing for a long time, like they all look at the direction of music and movies over the time. So it's not that we are trying to get the attention of the corporate people. So mostly what the events we do at the National Theatre, it is self-funded, mostly self-funded. Now when you do a show at the National Theatre and you make, let's say, 100,000 tickets. You make 100,000 tickets. And we try to take like, let's say, 21% of the money you make. Logistics haven't come. You haven't paid your comedians. You haven't paid for the hall. You haven't. So after everything, if that's what you're supposed to give to the government and other bills that you care, you realize that you literally work for the government. You didn't make anything. My opinion is, if you are taxing, like, let's say, a young entrepreneur who's trying to start a solo business, you cannot tax that same business like how you are taxing maybe a Coca-Cola or a Casapreco company, because one is already well established. Either you're trying to collapse the young entrepreneur trying to come up, or you don't want to even help him or her at all. That has been my feeling. And it's different if maybe I'm making the 21% contribution to the national development and they can go to National Theatre, and what I saw over there, the money I contributed to national development has gone back into National Theatres, improving National Theatre. You still go there, the space is still getting worse, deteriorating. and you are still paying all these money. Then the point you ask yourself is, what is this money I'm paying for? What are they using it for? So I am just, my plea is, government should look at it very well. I don't mind paying taxes, but from the creative arts position, I feel like they are being hard on some of us when it comes to we the stand-up comedians who organize our shows at the national theatre. I can't speak for the other industry. Stand-up comedy has its own challenges, which I don't think government has even called us to ask us. We see that your industry is growing. How well can we also come in and help you guys or develop the talent there? Whichever way, they should know our challenge. They don't. But when we are making the money, they quickly jump in and want to get their share of it.
All right, Lexi, thank you so much. You pretty much said everything that we constantly hear other creatives complain about. You've said it all in one submission. Grateful for that. Now, what he just said, we keep hearing that. Now, by the time we finish paying our taxes, we feel like we are working for government because you might not have made any profit at all. In fact, you might have incurred some debt, and yet the GRA expects you to pay your taxes in full. Does the GRA consider some of these things? That I'm supposed to pay this VAT on my earnings. And so if I am making a loss, all right, I'm actually in debt, must I still pay the full VAT as expected?
Okay, so let me share my experience.
Right.
I think that they've been good to me sometimes when I am able to justify that, look, things just didn't go well.
Okay.
I'm sure it's because we've also been truthful to them. When things go well, we pay. But there are certain times that, I mean, there's massive loss. And then we go to them and then we have a conversation with them. Now, look, this is it. I know you counted X amount of tickets and you're expecting this amount of money. But this is the challenge we are facing. What do we go about it? There are times where you can negotiate with them too as well. And I think they are open. When we go to the event department, they are open to that. As well.
I think that's what I also wanted to say, so that they always don't feel like you are. There are times, there are times you can reason with them. There are times. It's just that sometimes what I feel is because some come from different departments.
Yes.
You don't know who you dealt with previously,
yes.
And then sometimes you're saying, okay, no, this department are the ones that normally come to. They said no, the area you are, a different department handles it, and that's how. But then there's been times where, if it's really, really serious, you call on them and say, guys, let's finish the event, we'll sit down, and then we'll talk about it. And then we share some of the, we'll bring the books and show them and everything. There are times they understand. They can say, okay, instead of this, we can maybe work the figures to be around this instead of that. Because I'm literally looking at all the proceeds that came up, and it cannot even take care of maybe even 30 or 50% of my cost.
Expenditure.
And I'm still supposed to give you, and then they're like, okay, let's work these tickets out or that ticket out instead, and then see how both of us can meet our target in a way. And so there are times they are understanding.
Okay, I have a whole lot of questions based on this. And withholding tax for the artists was in the acting space, in theater, for example, we rehearse daily for about 60 days, all right? And then your artists will be going and coming with their fuel or their Uber and so on. And the money you pay them at the end of the day is probably equal to the investments they have put in by Uber fees.
By
and
not
they tell
getting
you,
anything.
you cannot charge me withholding, you cannot deduct withholding tax. Otherwise, I would have made no money at all. So in times like that, can you also negotiate with
the artists?
But unfortunately, we can't go on because our time is fast spent. But let's talk about Sunday.
Yes.
Let's talk about Sunday.
Sunday. Praise you, Lord. Praise you, Lord. It's happening at the Accra Sports Stadium. In fact, we've had it for the past 12 years. And this year, it was the need to open it up, had the vision to just allow more to come in, unlike where we put more restrictions on. So in addition to raising an altar of worship, praising God at the Accra Sports Stadium, it's also a time we also want to take a bit of the time to aside to raise prayer for our nation, considering the kind of year that we find ourselves in, elections and all that the hand of God will still continue to rest on this nation.
All right, so it's on Sunday
Sunday, by 1 p.m. gates are open. People can come in, relax, interact, and then by 3 p.m. the main service takes
So
off.
don't wait and come at 3.
No. Well, by the time you come at 3, we'll already be going on.
Alright.
By coming.
So Praise Reloaded is on Sunday. It's free at the Passport Stadium. Please come and let's worship God and let's pray as we approach elections 2024. Thank you so much, Latif, for coming.
Latif was asking a question.
Is he going to perform Bononi?
Bononi.
That's my favorite song.
Yeah, you haven't heard Give Me Oil, that's why.
Hey.
And thank you so much, Julius, also for coming.